Welcome to APCUG's Wednesday workshops, where we get together for a few hours and learn more about all sorts of technology. Today, we're going to be learning about some things about security and protection. We've got a two-part, one part on encryption and then one part on being safe. And today, our opening presentation is going to be from Mark Schulman. Mark's been here before, so there's not a lot that needs to be said about him, other than we sure glad that he's back with us again. So Mark, if you want to take over and start talking about encryption, we'll learn something.
Okay, great. Thank you, John. This is actually a favorite topic of mine. Every once in a while, I have people ask me, young people just coming out of college, what they ought to study in computers. And I always tell them security is the place to go right now. When I started my education in computers, security really wasn't an issue. So I didn't really have that option, but it's certainly an interesting field. So let me see if I can get my PowerPoint going. And I assume I've got permission to share my screen.
Yep.
All right. And can everybody see that?
I can.
Hopefully. All right. Excellent. I'll take that as a yes.
Yep.
All right. So a couple quick things about me. My name is Mark, and I've been in IT, information technology, known as computers, for about 40 years now. And the important thing I want you to know about me is we're going to talk about some different products, and I have no affiliation with any of these products. And it wouldn't do me a lot of good if I did, because they're all free. I'm not going to show you anything that costs money, other than we're going to talk about Microsoft Office a little bit, but I imagine most of you already have that. So what we're going to talk about here is a couple of different kinds of encryption. Maybe one or two of them will interest you, probably one or two of them won't. We're going to talk about single file encryption, encrypted containers, and whole disk encryption, plus a little bit of other stuff. If none of these mean anything to you yet, don't worry about it, because they will. So what is encryption? Well, encryption is just taking data and scrambling it or doing some operation to it so that without a certain secret piece of knowledge, people can't read it. And what we usually refer to that piece of knowledge as is either a key or a password. And so what we want to be able to do is take data and make it so that nobody else can read it unless they know the password or the key. I'll call it a password. Key is actually more accurate, though. So you already use encryption in when you use computers. Two places you use it. Anytime you're in a web browser, like you see on the screen here, and you see the little padlock in your browser, and the address starts with HTTPS, then everything you do is being encrypted between you and the website. So here I'm doing something that we often do here in Florida. I'm looking on the National Hurricane Center's website, and they have chosen to encrypt the traffic so that nobody snooping on me would be able to tell what information I'm looking at. The other place that you use it is every time you connect the Wi-Fi, and on the right you see my Wi-Fi panel for my laptop. And if there's a little padlock there, then it indicates that the traffic is encrypted and nobody can snoop on the traffic that can snoop on your connection onto the Wi-Fi hotspot. So without you even knowing it, you're using encryption every day. So one of the problems that led me to want to look into this issue is that it used to be, when I started with computers, that the computers were like a fixed appliance. They were like a washing machine or a dishwasher. Nobody carried anything with them. So I would go into the college where I went to school or the office where I worked, and there were computers there. And when I left, I didn't bring anything with me. There was no way to bring data. Well, now we have all kinds of ways to bring the data with us. We have flash drives. We send data through email. We put data on CDs and SD cards and all kinds of ways that we carry data around with us. Most importantly of all, we carry our phones with us, which are often loaded with data. And we'll talk about that towards the end. So when it comes to encryption, and pretty much when it comes to security of any kind, there are two types of problems, or two classes of problems. And I want to mention them and then tell you we're not going to deal with one of them. So the first class of problems is you have personal information that you want to keep private just because it's your right to keep information private. So for example, you don't want your roommate snooping through your PC when you're not home. Or your flash drive has a list of passwords for your social media accounts, and you want to be sure that if you lose your flash drive, somebody's not going to be able to get to all those passwords. Or your laptop has client data that you're obliged to protect. So these are things where you want to keep some information private, but you're mostly just trying to protect it from casual snoops. Now, a complete separate class of problems is when you're keeping life and death secrets. And so you're a covert freedom fighter in Tibet, and your flash drive has a detailed list of all your operatives, and people will die if that falls into the wrong hands. Or you work for a government agency and your laptop contains military plans, and obviously those are top secret. So we're not dealing with that second class of problems, even though a lot of what I'm going to show you in here would be applicable for that second class of problems. I'm assuming nobody is in here because they want to learn how to be a covert operator. And so if you take the information I'm going to give you in this class and you wind up getting waterboarded, not my fault. So let's go on to the first of these, and we're going to talk about single file encryption. So this is exactly what it sounds like. So you want to take a single file and you want to make it so that nobody can read it without the password. So some uses, why would you want to do this? You want to put on your flash drive a list of lock combinations at work, and you want to be able to carry that around with you, but you're worried about losing it. Or you want to email your tax returns to your accountant. And if anybody in here is not aware of this fact, anything you send through email, you ought to be willing to publish in the local newspaper, because that's about how secure email is. And it's getting a little bit better, but back in the days when email was created, nobody gave a thought to security. This goes back to the 60s and 70s. And so email standards just do not include security. So if you're emailing attachments that you would be concerned about somebody else seeing, it needs to be encrypted. So there's several different ways to do this, and I'm going to show you a few. So we've got Microsoft Office encryption is built in, and I'll show you how to use that. We've got programs such as 7-Zip and Aes Crypt, and I'll show you how to use those. And then there are a million more encryption applications. So if you're using a different one and you're happy with it, then that's wonderful. So let me show you how you might take a single file and encrypt it. So let me get out of my presentation. And my mouse appears to be dead. Oh, there it goes. Sorry. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtains. Okay. And I'm sorry, I had some files to use here. And here we go. Okay, so I've got some files I can play with here. And I've got a spreadsheet here in Microsoft Excel called Weekly Cash Flow. And I want to email this to my accountant, and I want to be sure that nobody sees it. This is business confidential information. So I can open this spreadsheet, and I'm going to go, I hope you can read this. I'm going to go to File and Info, and then under Protect Workbook, I'm going to click on Encrypt with a Password. And I get a dialog that asks me to type in a password, and I'm going to type a password, and then it's going to ask me to type it again just to be sure. And then I get a little yellow box that says, that tells me that a password is required to open this workbook. So I'm just going to save it. And now I can't tell just by looking at this easily, but it is encrypted. So I'm going to get out of it. And now I could email this file safely to my accountant. And if somebody tries to open it, when they double click on it, it says you have to provide a password. And they cannot see this without me typing the same password. And there we go, and I'm back into it. So this will work on Word, it works in Excel, it works on any of the Microsoft Office products, so you can encrypt just by adding a password. And this is really useful. Another way I could do this, there's a program that I've used for a while called Aes Crypt, and it allows me to also encrypt a single file. This is really useful if the thing you want to encrypt isn't a Microsoft Office product. So here I've got a Word document. Now I could encrypt this the normal through the technique that I just showed you, but I've got an application installed called Aes Crypt. I'm going to right click on it. And because I have Aes Encrypt installed, one of my options is Aes Encrypt. And I'm going to click that, and it prompts me for a password, and I have to key it in twice. And it creates a new file that has exactly the same thing, Northwest Traders Business Plan .docx.aes. And the .aes tells me it's an encrypted file. So I've still got the original, but I can email my accountant the one that ends in .aes. When my accountant gets it, I'm going to create a new directory here and copy the file into that directory so that we can pretend that that's all my accountant has. So he's just got the encrypted file. Now, he or she has to have Aes Encrypt as well to be able to read it. And all they would do is right click on the file and they get an option called Aes Decrypt. And they click on that, it prompts for the password. They enter the same password and it creates a copy that is not encrypted. And so now I can open that and read it just as I normally could. And there we are. Okay, so Aes Encrypt I like a lot. I used to use it a lot. I don't use it as much anymore because there's a third one that I really like, and it's called 7-Zip. And 7-Zip can actually encrypt any number of files at the same time. So I've got a directory here called History Component, and I'm a programmer, so it's got a bunch of files in it, and they're all code. And I'm going to select all of them and right click on them. And here I've got a line that says 7-Zip, add to archive. And it says I'm going to create a file called, I'm going to create a file called historycomponent.7z for 7-Zip. And it gives me a place to enter a password. And I'm going to enter my password. And click OK. And it creates a file called historycomponent.7z. And again, that's encrypted. I can mail that to somebody, and when they click on it, they're going to get maybe, well, what did that do? I have no idea why it's doing what it's doing. I do this all the time. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and it prompts me for a password, and I'm going to type my password, and it opens a file explorer, and there are all my files, and I can copy and paste them someplace else or look at them or whatever I want to do. So those are three that I really like. So 7-Zip, Aes Crypt, and then you can use normal, for Microsoft Office products, they'll encrypt themselves if you ask them to. Okay, now there's a couple obvious problems here, and this sometimes trips people up. So I'll give you a couple caveats. Number one is be careful of the file names you use when you create an encrypted document. So for example, suppose I'm putting together, I'm unhappy with my employer, and I'm putting together a to-do list on my work computer at work, and I name the file job search to-do list. Well, even though the file may be encrypted and my boss may not be able to open that file without the password, just the name of the file is enough to give away the fact that I'm looking for a new job. So be careful how you name some of these files. The other problem is you have to give the password. If you're emailing, you have to give the password to the person you're emailing it to. So I've seen people do this sort of thing all the time. So I send somebody an email, not me, but somebody will send an email to somebody with an encrypted attachment, and they send a message like this: "Dear Pete, the list of phone numbers is attached. The file is encrypted. The password is call me soon." Well, if somebody intercepts this email, they've got the file and they've got the password right there. So the key is, when you're encrypting a file and you're sending it to someone, you need to get them the password through some other means of communication. The best thing to do is just pick up the phone, give them a call and say, "Hey, Pete, I'm sending you a file and the password is call me soon, exclamation mark." And then Pete can write that down. And when he gets the file, he knows what the password is. So don't ever include the password in the email that's got, as a matter of fact, don't ever email the password and an attachment, because if somebody breaks into your email account, even if they're not in the same email, they may be able to rummage through your account and find where you sent the attachment and find a separate email where you sent the password. So always send the password through some other means. Okay, so that's encrypting a single file. Here's the one I really love. It's an encrypted container. What this enables you to do is to create a place where you can store all the files you want, even all of your files. You can store whatever files you want. They're encrypted and they can't be accessed without a password to open the container. So let me show you how that works and what we're going to use. So what this does, again, provides an encrypted virtual drive in which you can store information. Can be these virtual drives, these containers can exist on a flash drive, on an external drive, on laptops or PCs, wherever you want them. So suppose I live with a roommate and I want to store my financial documents on my computer, but I don't want my roommate to be able to rummage through my computer and get them. Or if the computer gets stolen, I don't want the thief to be able to get at these private documents. So we're going to use a piece of software called Vericrypt, which I really love. It's based on a much older piece of software called TrueCrypt. It's free. It's easy to use. You can use it with flash drives, external drives, computer hard drives, and it's available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. So just about any type of system you're using, you can use this. So here's what we do. We're going to create a Vericrypt container, and I'm going to show you how to do this. And Vericrypt will encrypt the container with a password that we provide. And anytime we want, we can mount that container and it appears to our computer as a virtual drive, and we can copy files in and out of it. And I'll show you how that works next. Actually, I'll save this till after the demo. Let me show you how it works, and then I'll come back and I'll give you this little story. So let's see what this looks like. So I've got a flash drive plugged into my computer, and it's my G drive. And I want to be able to store encrypted information on this flash drive. So I'm going to run Vericrypt, and I'm going to tell it I want to create a volume. Volume is just the word they use for an encrypted container. So I'm going to click Create Volume, and it's going to ask me a lot of questions, but for most of them, I just accept the default. So I want to create an encrypted file container, yes. Standard volume, yes. Okay, it wants to know where I want to put it. I'm going to put it on my G drive, that's my flash drive, and I'm going to call it My Secret Stuff. And you can put, I'm not even going to put an extension on it. Extensions don't matter with Vericrypt. So I'm just going to call it My Secret Stuff. And it asks me some encryption information, just accept all the defaults. How big do I want it to be? Well, 2 gigabytes ought to be enough. So 2 gigabytes. And then it wants a password. And next. And format. So it's going to sit and chug for a minute. And then it says it's been successfully created, and I can just exit out of that. Now, if I look on my flash drive, you can see a file now called My Secret Stuff. And if you look at the size of it, it's 2 gigabytes. So that's where all my encrypted stuff is going to go. So how do I get to it? Well, again, I'm going to run Vericrypt. I pick a drive letter. I'll just pick V for Vericrypt. It can be anything I want that's not used. Select File. Go to my G drive and select that file and mount. So select a drive letter, select the file, and then mount. And it asks me for the password. And it chugs for a second. Takes about 10 seconds. And if I look in File Explorer now, I can close this. If I look in File Explorer, I've got a drive called V. And it's an empty file or an empty folder. And I can just copy and paste stuff there. It's like I had a separate drive, and I'm going to copy. Where are my demo files? Where did I put them? And I've forgotten where I put them. Is it in? Oh, here it is. So I've got a bunch of files here that I want to put in there. And I'm just going to take these files and drag and drop them into my V drive. And it looks just like I'm copying into any flash drive. But as it copied them, Vericrypt behind my back encrypted them and put them in that container, that 2 gigabyte container that I created. So when I'm all done using this drive, I go back into Vericrypt and I just tell it to dismount that drive. And my V drive goes away, but that 2 gigabyte drive right there, or that 2 gigabyte file, is still on my flash drive, and the files that I copied into that encrypted container are in there, but they're encrypted, and nobody will be able to get to them without using Vericrypt and without knowing the password. All right, does that make sense? Hope so. Okay, so, and by the way, I've got some instructions written up that if you didn't follow all of that, I can show you. You can read the instructions on how to do that. So let me tell you how we use this at work. So I work in a doctor's office, and we're responsible for thousands of patients' medical records. And obviously, it's vitally important that we don't lose those medical records. So we create backups onto external hard drives like the one you see here. One of the things we have to be concerned about is, what if the building burns to the ground? If we have a fire and these drives get destroyed, it's not a decent excuse to tell our patients, oh, well, we've lost all your medical records because we had a fire. So what happens is, we have a lot of these backup drives. We have 5 of them. And every night, one of the doctors takes one home with him. So if overnight the office should burn to the ground, he's got a drive at home that has all the medical records on it. Well, we're obviously very concerned. What if he stops on his way home to pick up a coffee and somebody breaks into his car and steals the drive? We can't have people being able to see people's medical records. So we've done with that external drive exactly what I just showed you. We create a Vericrypt container that takes up the entire drive. And when we do the backups, we back up people's medical records into that encrypted container. And if he should lose the drive on his way home, then it's, we have to replace the drive. We're out some money, but we don't have to worry about somebody getting at their medical records because everything's in that encrypted container. So really, really useful. So another thing that I use this for, by the way, at work, I carry a flash drive with me, and I want to be able to store the passwords for people's machines. I want to be able to store people's names, addresses, and phone numbers, information about all their computers. I'm responsible for all the computers in the office. And so I want to be able to keep that on my flash drive, but I lose flash drives all the time. And I don't want to have to worry that if I lose a flash drive, this private information is going to leak out. So I create a small Vericrypt container. I put all those files in there. And then anytime I need it, I can mount that Vericrypt drive and I can get at all those files. So some other cool things that Vericrypt can do. They have what they call a traveler flash drive. So one of the things you can get Vericrypt to do is to install the Vericrypt software on the flash drive so that, and this is especially useful for me because I don't want to have to install Vericrypt on every computer in the office so that I can read the contents of my flash drive. So Vericrypt can actually install itself on the flash drive so that you can plug a flash drive into any computer and be able to get to your files. It also has something called key files. That we don't use this too often, but what key files allows you to do is it says, not only do I have to know the password, but I have to have a specific file that I've created, which becomes kind of a key for that container. And if I don't own that file, then I can't open the container. And the reason this is useful is, suppose somebody at work sees me typing my password and actually figures out what it is. Well, if they don't have that key file, they can't get in there. And the last thing is something called hidden containers. Hidden containers allows you to obscure the fact that you have any encrypted data at all. And that does become very useful in that second class of problems we talked about, where you're a freedom fighter in Tibet, and if you get raided and your house is searched, the hidden containers would make it very difficult for the government agents to even figure out that you had any encrypted data. So very useful. Some flash drive manufacturers actually have a feature where they have flash drives that have built-in security. And here's an example of one. This is put out, I've forgotten the name of the manufacturer, I'm sorry. It's a common flash drive manufacturer and I've just blanked on it. But you can see that there's a little number pad on this, and in order to get at the flash drive, you have to type in a particular code into the buttons that are on the flash drive, or it won't allow you to get to the files. I'm not really a fan of these things. It's better than nothing, but I never know how good the security is, and I worry about the fact that the people that know how to create a flash drive may not know how to do security right. So I still prefer to use a product like Vericrypt to keep my data safe. Besides which, these flash drives that have built-in security are quite a bit more expensive. So whereas a flash drive like this with no security on it might cost, I don't know, $8, this one with the number pad on it might cost $100. But with Vericrypt, which is free, I can protect my data and I don't have to pay the extra price. So I prefer to do this myself with a product like Vericrypt rather than buy a supposedly secure drive. I think Verbatim is the manufacturer here. Can't remember. Okay, the last thing I'll talk about is what's called whole drive encryption. And I have a story for you on this one. So I had dinner with a friend a while back, and we agreed to meet at Subway. And this isn't a picture of the Subway where we met, but it looks just like it. And it happened to be during the winters in Florida, where it's actually decent to sit outside. So we did. And we sat and talked for about an hour. And then I left. And a couple hours later, maybe 2.5 hours later, I started looking for my laptop. And perhaps you've had the experience where you go from curiosity to panic, where I had the experience of saying, oh, my laptop's not by the front door where I would have expected it. That's curious. Oh, it must be up in my office. I go look in my office. Uh-oh, well, it's not there either. Did I leave it in the bedroom? Oh, no, it's not in the bedroom. And I get more and more panicked. And eventually it dawns on me that I've looked everywhere. I must have left it at the subway. And the place we ate looked just like this. There was a busy sidewalk that went right by the outdoor seating area where we sat. And I thought, if I've left it at Subway, there's no way it's still going to be there. So I got there about 3 hours after we had left. And to my intense surprise, my laptop was right where I'd left it and nobody had touched it. You cannot believe how grateful I was. But what that did was make me realize that if it had been stolen, not only would I have had to worry about replacing a laptop, but there may have been medical records because I use that laptop at work. And what if I had accidentally, temporarily stored somebody's medical records on that laptop and it got stolen? And let me tell you, if you work in a medical office and a laptop gets stolen and you know or think it had somebody's medical records on it, you would not believe the legal hoops you have to jump through. You have to notify the patients and do all kinds of other stuff. So this was really going to be a big deal. So that's when I went to whole drive encryption. So on my laptop right now, the laptop I'm talking to you that I'm using for this Zoom conference, the entire hard drive is encrypted. And if somebody should steal my laptop, I don't have to worry about them being able to get into it. So again, I use Vericrypt for this. It's free and it works great. So Vericrypt has a function where you can tell it to encrypt your entire hard drive. And what happens is when you boot the computer, you get a normal sign-on screen just like this, except if you look in the upper left-hand corner, it's prompting for a password. And if you don't know the correct password, you will not be able to get into this computer. Taking the hard drive out and putting it in a hard drive reader or putting it in another computer is not going to help. The hard drive's encrypted. If you don't know that password, nobody's going to be able to get in it. So how good is that? Well, it's uncrackable by any known technology. As far as we know, even the government does not have a way to crack this and get into the hard drive. The key point is use a good password. If you just use a password like X, they may be able to guess the password. So pick a good password. Also, very important, don't lose your password. There is no way to get into this without the proper password, including by you. And of course, you want to create backups just like anything else. Everybody in here backs up their computer, right? Okay, and let me just show you real quickly how that works. I'm not going to actually do it because depending on the size of your hard drive, it can actually take a long time. But I go to System, and right here, this very first item, Encrypt System Partition Drive. And that's all you have to do. You click on that, you give it a password, and it will just run through your entire hard drive and encrypt the entire thing. It may take many hours for it to encrypt the entire hard drive, but you can be using the computer while it's doing that. You just can't shut it off. So I love that feature, and I use it on, I've got 2 different laptops and I use it on both of them. Now, Microsoft has a competing product that's actually built into some versions of Windows. It's called Bitlocker. Perhaps you've heard of that. And I still prefer Vericrypt. Number one, I've been using it since before Bitlocker was available. But here's a comparison of the 2 products. And the thing that I like about Vericrypt is that it's available on every version of Windows, and it's available on the Mac, and it's available on Linux. Whereas Bitlocker is only available on Windows Pro or Windows Enterprise. So if you have Windows Home, which I do on one of my computers, Bitlocker is not available. The advantage of Bitlocker is if you do have one of the versions of Windows that can use it, it comes pre-installed. And if you work in a corporation, Bitlocker has some real advantages because your IT department, if it's a large corporation, you have an IT department, can manage Bitlocker, can control your passwords. If you forget your password, they will know it. And so there's a lot of features that are really useful for large companies. But for me, all of that is meaningless. So I stick with Vericrypt. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is phones. And this is probably where people are the most vulnerable, because I wager that everybody in this meeting has a smartphone and we carry it around with us all the time. And if you're anything like me, somewhere along the line, you've lost a phone. And so there can be a lot of really personal data on phones. So thankfully, modern phones include whole phone encryption, which means without a password, nobody's going to be able to get to your phone. And here's a screenshot of my phone. And you notice that under Encrypt Phone, it says encrypted. The only problem with this is that it's only as good as the password you use for your phone. That's usually just 3 or 4 digits that you get prompted for when you start your phone or when you unlock your phone. And to my way of thinking, that's too easily guessed. Now I could pick a much better password. I could pick a 30-character password, but who wants to type that every time I unlock my phone? So there's a balancing act between we all want to pick a short numeric code to unlock our phone, and yet that makes it easy for other people to get at it as well. So there are a wide variety of programs that you can use to store information on your phone that encrypt just that piece of data on your phone. And one that I have used in the past is called ColorNote. And what it allows you to do is to store notes on your phone. But one of the things you can do is you can tell it that one or more of those notes are going to be encrypted, and without the password, somebody can't get to it. So here's a screenshot of ColorNote. And I've created a note called Business Plan, and you can see the little padlock on it. And that means that I told ColorNote that this has a password on it, and I cannot look at that note without entering the password. So if you want to be able to keep stuff on your phone, but it's sensitive information and you want to make sure nobody can get at it without the proper password, an app like ColorNote or any of the other endless variety of similar applications are really good. One that I use a lot, I've done a presentation here before on Microsoft OneNote, and Microsoft OneNote is also a very sophisticated note-taking application, and it actually allows you to encrypt notes as well, and that's actually pretty much what I do exclusively these days. So I put information in OneNote, I tell it to encrypt it, and then anytime I want to look at it, it requires me to enter the password, and that works just great on phones. So everything you've seen here is free, and here are the links where you can get all of this software. The only thing that's not free is Microsoft Office that we talked about a little bit at the beginning, but everything else that I've talked about here is free. And that's what I've got. Any questions? And I will unshare my screen, by the way.
I learned a lot today. Let's see what Judy has for questions.
Well, I have 2 pages worth.
Well, I'll give you 15 minutes. Maybe.
You're too kind. Thank you. One moment while it's printing.
Hot off the press.
Yep.
Well, that either means people are interested or I didn't do a very good job of explaining things.
It was fascinating. Okay.
And again, for all of you here, if all of our pages of questions don't get answered right now for Kim's presentation, we will have some time after her presentation that we will do a few more questions, and then he'll be sent all the questions, and you will receive the questions and the answers if you have let us know who you really are, and we can find your email address for follow-up material.
Very good, because I see some with just one name. Okay, what about the advertised programs to crack single file Office passwords?
Okay, so when Office first introduced the idea of passwords. It was a pretty bad system. So what happened was, if you tried to open, let's say you put a password on a Word document and you tried to open the Word document, the file wasn't encrypted. It's just that Word wouldn't let you open it if you didn't enter the proper password. So that made it very easy for people to produce programs that would just take the password out of the document. And since it wasn't encrypted, you could then open the document. Since I believe Office 2010, the files are actually encrypted. You will never see the contents again without the password. Now, that depends on you using a good password, by the way, because I'm sure there are programs, I haven't looked, but I'm sure there are programs out there that will check the file against just common simple words or single characters or short numbers or things like that and try to guess the password. But if you use the kind of password you ought to use, which is 2 or 3 words plus a special character plus a number of digits, it is absolutely secure.
How safe are the files on your computer?
With or without encryption?
But with encryption.
With encryption, they are very, very safe. And it is, nobody knows for sure, nobody outside the national security agencies, but it is widely believed that if you use a proper password, that is a long password, that no government in existence can crack these algorithms. Now, you know, if you were a suspected terrorist and they knew that there was a plot and they knew that this document contained the, you know, the details on the plot that was going to unfold a week from now, and they brought hundreds and hundreds of agents in on trying to crack that file, they might manage to do it. But to get your tax returns, no, they are not going to be able to crack it.
How about using a standardized password for each person you are dealing with, so you don't have to worry about picking up the phone or anything else? They automatically know what it is.
I think that's fine. So be sure you keep that password someplace secure. If you've got a password vault like LastPass, then that's a good place to keep it. The thing to remember, by the way, is that information is only as secure as both people that have the password. So that is to say, if you take your tax return and you encrypt it with a very good password and you store that password securely, and then you send it to your accountant who stores that, you know, a password in a text file on his desktop, then, you know, keep in mind that he's dropped his ball there. So, you know, make sure that whoever you're sending the file to is going to keep the contents secure.
What prevents ransomware from accessing an encrypted container?
Nothing. So that's important to realize, is that ransomware can mess up an encrypted container just as easily as it can any other data. So if you don't have the drive mounted at the time you get hit by ransomware, the ransomware can't read your data, they can't capture your data, but they can destroy it. So the only solution to ransomware is to have a backup. And I got hit by ransomware about 10 years ago. And that was an interesting experience to sit there and watch it go through all my files and encrypt them. But I had a good backup. I reinstalled Windows, restored my backup. I'd lost a couple days work because that wasn't on the backup. But seriously, backups is really the only answer to ransomware.
Can Veracrypt containers be deleted like any other file in File Explorer?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And that's something you have to be a little careful of. So this container that I created called My Secret Stuff, it's just a file in Windows. So you and I know that it's a Vericrypt container and it's got all that data in it and so on. But if somebody sees that file and says, I don't know what that is, and just deletes it, it's all gone. So yeah, it's just a file that's got encrypted data in it.
If you process files held in an encrypted container, might your OS, for instance, Windows 10, preserve some secret information in various system files somewhere in decrypted form?
Yes, and that's really a good question. So when you open a Word document, for example, Word creates a temporary file. And it used to be that that temporary file was stored elsewhere. But you've probably seen that what they've started doing in the last few versions, you see a file that has almost the same name as your document, but it's got a tilde in front of it. And that's the temporary file, and it's in the same directory. So theoretically, there shouldn't be any other data stored elsewhere, but it is actually something to worry about. And if you really want to be absolutely sure that the data is protected, whole disk encryption is a better way to go than just an encrypted container.
Okay. How do you share Vericrypt in the cloud? Is it like any other file share?
Yeah, but you don't typically find people doing that because, for example, you just saw me create a 2 GB Vericrypt container, but I actually only put a few files in it. So I'm using up 2 GB of disk space for just a few files. Now the idea is that I can put more and more and more files in there, and it may eventually grow to be 2 GB. That's how much room I've got in there. But if I want to put it up on OneDrive or Google Drive or Dropbox, it's going to take up 2 GB. So the other solutions that I showed you, the Aes Crypt and 7-zip, are much better ideas if you're going to put it up in the cloud, because they'll only take the amount of space necessary to hold the file.
Is there a Mac version of Vericrypt?
Yes. So if you go to vericrypt.fr, which is where you get it, you'll see a Windows version, there's a Mac version, there's a Linux version. So yes, it runs on just about everything. There's even a Raspberry Pi version, by the way, if you've got a Raspberry Pi.
Cool. If you encrypt the hard drive and back it up to an external drive, the backup is not encrypted, correct?
You can do it either way. It depends how you do your backups. So I've done it both ways. What I actually do is on my laptop, my whole disk is encrypted. And then when I create the backup itself is not encrypted, but I put it in a Vericrypt container so that that hard drive is encrypted. So you have to think about that one for a minute. But yes, you can create an unencrypted backup if you want to. If you're just going to keep that at home or keep it in your house safe or something like that, you can have it unencrypted if you want.
What is the drain on RAM and CPU of whole drive encryption? What is the safest way to share the password with next of kin?
That's a good question. I really like that last one. So the Vericrypt's predecessor was a program called TrueCrypt, and a guy named Steve Gibson, who runs a podcast on security, actually wanted to know that very thing. How much does it drag your system down to use? He was using TrueCrypt. Vericrypt is based on TrueCrypt. TrueCrypt is not available anymore, or it's not maintained. Anyway, he did some speed tests, and he found out that the system was actually faster using TrueCrypt, because apparently the disk drivers they had written for TrueCrypt were more efficient than the drivers that came with Windows. Now, I'll bet that's not true anymore, but I will tell you, I'm running Vericrypt whole drive encryption on this laptop, and I absolutely cannot tell any speed difference. And as far as I can tell, there's very, very little memory usage. So it just works behind the scenes, and it just works. Once you've entered the password and booted your computer, it just works. So how to share it with friends and family. So both of my kids have my Vericrypt password. So if something happens to me, they can get at it. And they both have their own way of keeping passwords safe. I think they've got password vaults. So I just gave it to them over the phone and they stored it in however they store passwords. And I'm just going to have to trust that they're doing a good job of keeping them safe.
Cool. If I encrypt with an Excel password and I send it to someone who doesn't have Excel, can they open it with LibreOffice or something else?
Oh, what a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I like LibreOffice. I've recommended it to people, but I have not checked out the encryption in it.
And Vericrypt is HIPAA compliant.
My understanding is that it is. You know, HIPAA is such a large, convoluted law that I am not privy on all the ins and outs of it. However, we've got some people that are in my organization, and you know, we discussed what we were going to be doing with them for encrypting our backups, and they thought that we were meeting our burden. So I'm going to say yes, but you should check this out too if that's important to you.
Very good. I have some more questions, but they're lengthy. So I am going to turn this back to John. And thank you very much, Mark. I think we all learned a ton and a half today.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And we'll be back later to talk. At this time, I'm going to introduce our next speaker who, from my understanding, has spoken to many groups in her area already, and we're just excited about being able to have her today with us. I think you're all going to find out a lot of information. Our presenter is Kim Lopez. She's a lieutenant in the Triad Community Services for the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office, which is in Oklahoma, as opposed to my Cleveland. Kim wanted to be a deputy sheriff since she was 6 years old. She started her law enforcement career in 1984 in Cleveland County and served as the first full-time officer assigned to crimes that were victimizing elderly. She authored the curricula for the CLEAT, which is the Council on Law Enforcement Education and Training. During Police Academy, Kim served as the only female squad leader. In 1998, Kim received a governor's commendation from former Governor Frank Keating for her dedication as the Cleveland County Triad Coordinator. In 2008, Kim acquired her Advanced Law Enforcement Instructor certification and has instructed for Departments of Justice and the National Sheriff's Association. Today, Lieutenant Lopez is assigned to a specialized unit out of the Community Services Division with the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office called Triad, concentrating endeavors on prevention-based programming for the senior adult community. Lieutenant Lopez spent 7 years reaching 19 communities within Oklahoma with key core community groups called SALT, Seniors and Law Enforcement Together, encompassing 17 police departments in Oklahoma. In 2019, Kim was recipient of Oklahoma's statewide Heartland Law Enforcement Award for 2019 for her efforts to Narcan train over 500 seniors with opiate overdose prevention. During COVID, Kim was recognized by News 9 for her efforts to hand out over 4,000 free washable handmade face masks made by her senior volunteers. This 60-year-old has enjoyed her 34 years career, which began in Cleveland County, and she is grateful to announce that she has finally come home to the community she loves. Kim is married to Greg, her 9th grade crush, and has 3 children. Kim's favorite quote, "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." She's going to be talking to us today about safety. So, Kim, if you want to take over and educate us.
All right. Well, first of all, I am just absolutely honored. And I think there's few people that can say they got to address people in 3 different countries at the same time. But First, I would like to introduce my sheriff to you. Without a leader in your community and law enforcement to bring Triad to its people lack for prevention-based strategies. So at this time, I'm very honored to introduce my sheriff, Sheriff Chris Amison of Cleveland County.
Thank you, Kim, and hello, everyone. Thank you for allowing us to come and speak today and give us this opportunity. Kim and I are excited to be a part of this. And, you know, as a sheriff and a law enforcement leader, I want to encourage people to use the information that Triad provides and use the tools to prevent elderly of being victims of crime and being able to identify a lot of these things that they get trapped in before they happen. So, you know, if you're in an area that does not have Triad or you would like to see Triad come, contact your sheriff, your local police chief, and tell them that you want it there. And if they haven't heard about it or if they need more information,
Then he called me.
yes, then call me and then I'll give them to Kim, or they can call Kim directly. She's my expert. But we're excited to partner with anyone that wants to get this program going. I am 100% sold on it and behind it. Anything that we can do to protect our seniors and the vulnerable in our community, that's what I'm all about. So again, thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to turn it over to the expert Kim here, and she's the one with all the knowledge. But again, thank you for letting us come on today.
Sheriff, thank you so much for being able to address this group. I'm absolutely honored to be here. So as we start talking about crimes that victimize, we have to stop and think that we can all be victimized. So violent crime occurs every 22.8 seconds in the United States. When I wrote this, and I'm still writing it, it's only taken me 35 years, but I add to it all the time. When I write this curricula, it is written for people who cannot protect themselves, but it is good for all ages. So share this information with, you know, your grandkids that are just, you know, driving, college age kids, high school kids. Literally, it is good, sound information on so many different ways not to be targeted. When we very first start talking about this, I have to go in and again, talk about what Triad is. So Triad was brought to the National Sheriff's Association by my good friend, Sheriff Charles Fuselier, and my late good friend in St. Martinsville Parish, Louisiana. And what he started noticing was that if he wanted to know what was going on in his area, he would go into the little church and talk to the little ladies and say, hey, you know, over here in this side of the parish, we've had a lot of car burglaries. And sure enough, some little lady would go, yep, that's a gray van. And it comes through about every day, you know, about this time when my soap opera is over, would you like the tag number? They had a very healthy sense of community and would report that crime. Here's what he learned, though, that was heartbreaking and so true across our nation and our world. Seniors have a very high regard and respect for law enforcement to the point that when they are victimized, they don't report it. So they don't want to take a gun off the street that could be chasing a baby rapist to file a report because someone came in and stole their microwave. So basically what we had to do in 1988 was open up a door, a line of communication to have a better rapport between law enforcement and our senior adult community. Most sheriffs across the nation looked at this and said, wait, we don't have any of this going on. Well, you can't count what isn't reported. So it was kind of a tough sell to some of the leaders. But when people started looking and started really going out and meeting their seniors, they found it was very true. So the name Triad was meant to make us think of a triangle. So the sheriff oversees it for the entire county or parish so that no senior is left out. My crime here is much different in South County than the wealthier part of the city of Norman on the west side of town. Much different crime concerns. So in order to meet the needs of those in the farmhouses in South Cleveland County who can't see the next farmhouse because there's no lighting, we can get together with them in key core community groups called SALT, Seniors and Law Enforcement Together. Now, again, when you speak about this and you learn about this, I still have to say, any seniors out there that are watching this, anybody out there watching this, go to your sheriffs. If anything about this is something you want to see deployed in your hometown for the people you love and care about and your neighbors, go to your leaders in law enforcement and have them contact me, and I will give them everything that I have. I literally can email them some of the forms that are life-saving, and they can put their name on it, their patch, their badge, and go out and assist their communities. So now that you know what Triad is, now that you know what SALT is, and we do many different crime prevention programs, not just the one you're going to see today about safe shopping. We have so many other programs. We have what seniors should do if they're, in an active shooter situation. We have some amazing drivers safety programs for seniors. AAA has an amazing program that will actually certify law enforcement to car fit seniors in their cars to where they are far less likely to have some pretty horrific injuries, even just in very, very tiny fender benders. We also buy Christmas for 700 kids that are being raised by their grandparents and wouldn't normally get Christmas. So we have a great many other programs. So why are seniors targeted? They're targeted because of the nest eggs. Crooks think they are sitting on this big, huge, nest egg of money. And the other thing is that crooks don't think that you will defend yourself. They've done this before. They know the most common human response is, oh my God, don't hurt me, take my wedding ring, take my watch, just don't hurt me, don't hurt me. Crooks believe that you are more trusting and will fall for anything. So I ask you, do you have a plan? What would you do if today you walked out of a building and someone came up and convinced you that they are willing to harm you to get what you have on your person? Because most seniors don't. So even if those of you are brave enough to say, yes, I have a plan, how many of you have the tools to carry it out? So first and foremost, I want to lay that foundation. You got to have a plan and you got to have the tools to carry it out. When we talk about safe shopping, you really need to have your method of payment. You know that before you leave the house. It's a subconscious decision. You're going to go get some cat litter and some Cheerios, and subconsciously you know how you're going to pay, your method of payment. The things that we don't think about are some of the things I'm going to bring up to you today. Whether to get a shopping cart and some other things that we'll talk about. But how many of you always get a shopping cart even for one item? And I'd be real surprised if one person raised their hand. You must always, always get in the habit of getting a shopping cart. It is a very key tool in whether even someone can get your information off your credit card. I know that's hard to believe, but it's really true. Hotspots that I want to talk about today are the parking lots and the register stalls. Those really are hotspots. So asking yourself, do you have a plan? What actions are you going to take if someone approached you? And most people say, I'm going to scream bloody murder. Well, that's great until you get that adrenaline dump and then you can't scream. I've worked as a special victims advocate and I'm here to tell you, you cannot scream. You'll suck air. You'll suck air, but you cannot scream. So we're going to talk about some of the things. So the most common human response is what really looks like cowarding. Oh my gosh, don't hurt me, don't hurt me. Here, take my ring, take my watch. You can have my things I just shopped for. So I want to start out by congratulations. Today, you're going to get a plan. I always say, everybody raise your right hand. Come on, Rich, raise your right hand. Okay, now reach up and pat yourself on the back, because today you are going to get, come on, Rich, let's do it. There you go, buddy. Reach around and pat yourself on the back, because today you will get a plan and you will know the tools to carry it out. So you all have homework. I'm going to give you a list of things, and you'll get my handout after my presentation of things that you need to go by to help protect yourself. So for years, and I've watched this, well-intending peace officers and myself started out by saying, walk with confidence and be aware of your surroundings. But that's not enough information. There's, 90-year-old friends that I have that don't walk with a whole lot of confidence until they, got this information. So we're going to talk about how to walk with confidence and how to be aware of your surroundings. Your body language is going to be different. It's going to change when you are confident that you have a plan and the tools to carry it out. One thing I've noticed in my 34-year, almost 35-year career is that career criminals watch body language just as much as peace officers. So they know when you feel comfortable and when you don't. So as we age, and I'm 60 years old, I didn't really believe, I didn't believe it. I thought I was so young when I studied this that it wasn't ever going to happen to me, and it did. We atrophy in our neck. And I started seeing it about 54 years old. And I'd be sitting at a stoplight in my patrol car, and I'd turn and I'd go, man, I really have, So has anybody heard that term, check your six? Raise your hands. Medical term, Mark knows. So it's like a clock. So if 12 o'clock's right in front of you, where's 6 o'clock? Right behind you. So if you are atrophied in your neck, it's very, very difficult to turn around and see behind you. So we have these stickers at the sheriff's office, and they're round stickers, really kind of cute. They're junior deputy sheriff stickers that we give kids, but seniors love them. And I give them to them as a part of an exercise that they have taken on. And I have had more seniors tell me, wow, I finally regained the, sense of motion in my neck, but I keep doing this and I've kept it. So, not only will you achieve range of motion in your neck, if you keep doing this, you will maintain that range of motion in your neck. So get a focal point, whether it's a sticker on the wall. When you go home tonight, some of you are in your homes, most of you are, put a focal point right behind your happy spot. What's your happy spot? That requires a recliner and some good sweet tea, all right? And your remotes, and probably a kitty cat or a dog. In my house, it's a little dog. But so when you get in your happy spot, put a focal point behind you. I always say knees down range, hips down range, shoulders down range. Don't move your shoulders, and turn around just your head and see if you can see that sticker on the wall behind you, or that focal point. Doing this, move your bottom to the very tip front of your chair, but starting to do this every time you turn the TV on, every time you change the channel, and every time a commercial. Come on now, you don't need to watch them commercials. You got homework to do during the commercials now. This really works to maintain so that you can check your six. So criminals understand something that you may not have ever heard, and that's called the adrenaline rush. First thing out of their arsenal works every time to their advantage and your disadvantage. So seniors don't walk up to a sweet little lady in a parking lot and say, you look like my Aunt Martha. Anyway, you'd allow me to borrow your keys, your car. They come up and they go, get your keys. They just pop out of nowhere. They mean to startle, to get that adrenaline hormone in your bloodstream, because everything in your hands is going to end up where? On the pavement. And they know this. They've done this. They know the most common human response. And once you get startled like that, and your heart, jumps through your throat, your thoughts will be derailed. So know that the first thing out of their arsenal is to startle you. If you believed me, then every time you left the doctor's office, the senior center, or the grocery store, you would be looking around thinking, okay, where's the person that wants to scare me, half out of my wits? So again, criminals expect you to coward, even just having a plan, because they expect you to act a certain way. Just having a plan sometimes causes, and I've known about it, that they'll just run off because they don't know what to do with you. You're not acting like they think you, normally would act. There are two most common things that a career criminal are going to demand from you. One is your keys, and the other is your valuables, your purse, your wallet, your watch, your shopping bags that you just, came out of an expensive store with. But keep that in mind. Now, you need to prepare before you shop. And I've got an item here, and I'm going to hold it up. Did everybody see it? Pretty easy to know what that is, right? Who would know that 2 $1 bills in a metal money clip can save your life? 2 $1 bills in a metal money clip is a must. I learned about a lady a little over a year ago who was walking around a park in Oklahoma City, and a guy literally ran up, tackled her, pushed her to the ground, and broke her hip for $6.12 that she had on her. And I thought, how sad. If she would have had 2 $1 bills in a metal money clip, again, a plan and the tools to carry it out, she would probably be okay today. So 2 $1 bills can help save your life. I call this bait money. So 2 $1 bills, okay, put the president's faces together, fold it in half, make it look like a lot more money, kind of fan it out. And then if you've got an old money clip, great. If not, handy dandy office binder right there works really well. So this adds weight. So you keep this in your pocket, and if someone comes up and says, give me your wallet or give me your purse, you show it and throw it. This draws the attacker away from you so that you can go and get help. So the other thing is give me your keys. Now, let's marinate right there for just a moment. And we'll talk about parking lots. The reason why, and we all know that parking lots are dangerous. Most seniors will tell you that, but they really don't know why. So let me just give you the skinny on why career criminals tell me the first place they head is a parking lot. When the drug deal goes bad, when the fight is on, when police get called, when the home burglary is interrupted, and they're on foot, the first place they're going to go is to a parking lot. And here's why. They want to get out of the area. So if they're in a very small town in whatever state they're in, they want to go to a larger city. If they're in a larger city, they want to get to a small town, but they know that if they can cross many jurisdictions in a wide variety of cars, changing cars often, it's impossible, literally impossible for law enforcement to catch them. So when you think about leaving where you are right now and getting in your car, you can't drive 10 minutes without crossing jurisdictions. A lot of seniors aren't aware that you have municipal jurisdictions, you have county jurisdictions, and then you have, like, on the major thoroughfares, you have your highway patrol. So, and there could be others. So career criminals know if they can just drive a short time, ditch that car and get another one, it's literally hard, almost impossible for us to catch them. So that's one of the reasons why parking lots are so dangerous. If you think of it like this, it takes a very spry person to get out of their car in a parking lot, say Walmart or wherever, and go, you know what? That's weird. This van was there 4 days ago. It doesn't look like it's moved. So that makes 24-hour parking lots even more dangerous. Excuse me. So if they, go to a quick, fast food restaurant and they scare somebody out of their keys and steal a truck, they're only going to drive it maybe 10 minutes. Excuse me. And then leave it in a parking lot, ditch it, and get another vehicle. Excuse me. So the parking lots that are dangerous, all of them. The next one that is more dangerous is the one that you feel comfortable in. You've been to that senior center for 20 years, nothing's ever happened, right? So you feel comfortable. Your church parking lot. That one is very, very dangerous because most seniors' body language isn't very open to look around. The next one is 24-hour parking lots because career criminals know they can ditch a stolen vehicle there, and it's going to take 5 to 7 days for someone who's on their game to go, wait a minute, that vehicle's been here for, the last 4 days. The next one might surprise you. And I didn't learn this in cop school, police academy. I learned it from the professionals. I learned it by going into the jails once a criminal is convicted and saying, look, you don't have to talk to me, but I'm here to keep your grandparents safe. Why did you steal that purse? Why, here, what's going on about this? And they quickly told me, one of the easiest ways to get out of an area is to ask for a ride to the hospital. Oklahoma is in the heartland. And I am just sad to say that my seniors have told me, man, I would have never given a hitchhiker a ride, but I was in my church parking lot getting ready to back out. And this guy said, look, I'll give you $10. It's all the money I have. My truck's over there and it won't start. And my wife's having a baby. I'll pay for your gas. Could you just take me to Baptist Hospital? And sure enough, a sad story pulls at the heartstrings of our senior adults. So getting to a hospital is key here, because once they get to that hospital, and this is the #1 most dangerous parking lot, is your hospital parking lot. Hospitals are open 24 hours. And if you've ever sat and looked at a door at a hospital, and I've done this for a while, people that walk out of a hospital are zoned completely out. They have slept in a chair in a loved one's room for 3 nights. They haven't showered in 4 days. They've eaten out of a vending machine. They are careworn. They are concerned, and they are not paying attention when they walk out of that building and through that parking lot. And career criminals told me this. So again, all parking lots are dangerous. The one you feel the most comfortable in, that's dangerous. Then your 24-hour parking lots, and then your hospital parking lots. So, and you can be in a new city, never having been to, wherever, Missouri, let's say. You're driving down the interstate, it's going to tell you, the signs are going to tell you hospital next 2 exits. So pretty easy to know where the hospitals are, even if you're not from there. So now that you know which parking lots are the most dangerous, all of them are, let's talk about what to have with you. So you're all going to have homework. One of the things, once you get your bait money together, okay, get your bait money, keep this in your pocket, show it and throw it when they demand your wallet or your goods. Another thing is how you're carrying your stuff. I was shocked to have career criminals tell me which purses they look for. I had actually been one of those peace officers who told people, wear a crossbody purse. It frees up your hands. You can run, you can open doors, you can, you can fight, whatever. Not a good plan. Career criminals love crossbody purses. You need to quit carrying crossbody purses. When you think about it, it puts a handle on the back of you and a handle on the front of you. When I speak as a special victims advocate to people that have been accosted, and I encounter someone who never saw their assailant's face, that is one of the things that I ask on second interview is, were you by any chance carrying a crossbody purse? And they go, oh my gosh, you've seen video, you found who did this to me. And I go, no, that's one of the things. So they can pull you out of the side of the line of vision. They can pull you into vehicles around corners. Crossbody purses simply are not good to carry. The other thing is, and they call this a gimme. Career criminals love 2-strap purses. When you put a 2-strap purse on your shoulder, speaking to the women right now, one of the straps always falls off. That's a gimme. They know they've got that purse. So that right there could set you up for a target. So I like to say one strap purse across your shoulder, tucked under your arm tightly, or in the bend of your arm. But don't carry valuables there. If you want to carry, you know, pictures of your grandkids, lipstick, I get it. But what you really should do, and anybody who's ever traveled abroad knows this, you need to get a travel document wallet or a lanyard wallet to wear around your neck. They hide them in the department stores over by the luggage. So don't go by the purses, but these travel document wallets can be worn under your clothing. You can make the strap as short. I know people with pacemakers need those much longer. They can almost tuck them in their pants. But this is a really good thing. If you can find one that is large enough to put your cell phone in, that's even better. So tear out a couple of your checks, use your, put a couple of your checks. Don't ever carry your entire checkbook. So tear out a couple of checks, put it with your folded money, credit card, debit card, put that in your lanyard wallet with your ID. Most of them, the good ones, have a little zipper spot so you can put coin and your credit card, debit card, and ID don't fall out. The other thing that I want you to be aware of and get is a carabiner. The name comes from the inventor of this wonderful latch device that is an amazing crime prevention tool. Not only can you add to this the things that I'm going to tell you to go and get, you can also use this to secure a lady's purse to the shopping cart. I see way too many ladies in the store that, and I used to do this too. You put your handbag in the shopping cart, you take the little baby seatbelt, and you think it's in there for good, and it's not. I've learned about a new way that career criminals are getting wallets and purses out of shopping carts. Excuse me. So, good carabiner. I like this one, AAA. If you're a AAA member, ask them about, tell them I sent you the good AAA carabiner. It also has a wonderful place to put your keys. We're going to talk about that next. So here's your car keys, your regular set of car keys, good carabiner. Find a way, get you a wrist lanyard. So your wrist lanyard keeps your good keys on your wrist. So if someone startles you and you drop everything, you've still got your good keys right here. I have ladies that have literally taken yarn and just braided it into a loop to fit their good keys as to serve as a good wrist lanyard. That on your list. Then you need to fashion a set of bait keys. Everybody say bait keys. These are wonderful. This is what you show and throw if someone demands your car keys because they want to get out of the area. They're watching someone who comes out, they've got their keys in their hand, just show them and throw them. If you can find, and I suggest going to your church or your son's business and ask where the lost and found keys are. If you can get one of these key fobs, this one doesn't work. It was dropped in the water, doesn't even have any batteries. If it did work, but that really makes your bait keys look very real. This is kind of a promise to whoever picks these up that they can go around and find the car that these belong to. So show them and throw them. So get your carabiner, put on your good keys. You now have a way to attach your bait keys to your lanyard or to your carabiner and your lanyard. So the other thing that I absolutely is an absolute must is this little gig right here. A good metal whistle is an international sound of defense. When you can't scream, you can make a loud noise. You can get some attention from clear across the parking lot by blowing a whistle. You can go in any country in the world and blow a whistle, and people are going to look to see why. It gets people's attention. It's loud. It is a sound of distress. So I don't leave the house without a good metal whistle. I think Mark's writing that down. Good deal, Mark. All right. So good you are. All right. So good metal whistle. Keep that on your carabiner with your keys, your bait keys. and your wrist lanyard. There's your recipe. All right. So, again, they're not going to say, hey, you know, may I borrow your keys? They're going to demand something from you, scare you, and everything ends up on the sidewalk or the parking lot. So be ready to show them and throw them. Your bait keys, get those unhooked from your regular set of keys every time you leave the doctor's office, any kind of building, church, doesn't matter, get those ready. Now, we're going to talk a minute about fanny packs. I love me some fanny packs, but I don't like it when I see people wearing fanny packs as belly bags. Fanny packs are meant to wear in the small of your back, covered up by another layer of clothing and that strap tucked in your waistband. Then that's a good fanny pack. So they should not be seen. Fanny packs aren't pretty. They're not supposed to be worn as belly bags. So again, purse snatchers paradise or crossbody purses and two-strap purses. Gentlemen, I just, you know, love it when I am able to go to like a church and I can ask this question and, you know, every head bowed, every eye closed. How many of you men have your wallet in your back pocket? And they'll, you know, raise their hand momentarily, but most senior adult men are in the habit of carrying their wallet in their back pocket. First of all, this is really bad on your back, but now I know why it is so dangerous. So this is an X-Acto knife. Any hardware store, I bought this one at Dollar General for $1. And these are very easy to conceal. And this is what they're getting your wallets with. So career criminals tell me the older the guy, the fatter the wallet. And it's true. Senior adult men carry a lot of cash. When they go to the register to pay for something, they take out all of that money to find a $10 bill. So new plan today. All right. The other thing I'm told about the people who carry these and steal wallets from senior men is that they watch as senior adult men get out of the car or the truck, because seniors will, as a habit, it's again a subconscious decision, they will telegraph where their stuff is. So they'll reach back there, make sure they got their wallet, reach down here, make sure they got their keys, reach over here, make sure they got their cell phone, reach over here, make sure they got their glasses. So these career criminals will watch in a parking lot and go, yep, his wallet's in his back pocket. Then they just follow you around, you know, the hardware store until, you know, they can get close enough to you to slice your trousers right under your wallet in your pocket and then just follow you until your wallet falls out. I mean, it couldn't be any easier, right? It would shock you how many seniors in my SALT council have called me and said, Kim, I've lost my wallet. Okay, well, where were you the last time that you saw it? Well, I was, you know, in the grocery store. Okay, all right. So do me a favor. Put your hand back there in your pocket that you had your wallet in and tell me if there's a big hole in it. And they're just like, oh my gosh, you have ESPN. I mean, heck, you're reading my mind, like what? And that's how they're doing it. So be well aware of that. So gentlemen, men, older men, a lot of them will wear a t-shirt underneath their, even in the summertime, they're just used to wearing a t-shirt with a light shirt. Get the ones with the pockets. Ladies, learn this from the men. A good tight-fitting V-neck t-shirt is a wonderful crime prevention tool. You can put your couple of checks, your cash, your debit and credit card in a little coin purse and keep this in a pocket of a tight-fitting pocket t-shirt. So this is also used to cut the baby seat belt in shopping carts. So women who put their purse in the shopping cart and click that little seat belt are 9 times more likely to turn around because that's a false sense of security. Y'all learning anything? You look smarter already. All right, so Gentlemen, front pocket tee, inside jacket pocket, or your front pocket for your wallets. Now that we know what purse to wear, speaking more specifically about going shopping, never, ever, ever go in without getting a shopping cart. I don't care if you're going after one box of Kleenex. You'll need this when you get to the register. Also, never, ever, ever get your method of payment out at the register. And I see this all the time. Go over by the unmentionables. Listen to me. Nobody hangs around the, Tampex and Kotex and has a conversation. We get those, we put them in the cart, and we move on. Okay. So when I say go by the unmentionables, now you know what I'm talking about. Yes. All those unpleasant things. Nobody hangs around the girdles. Okay. Go there, when you're done shopping, get your method of payment out. That's when you turn that fanny pack around, get in it, get your method of payment out. Those of you who are still writing checks, and I hope you find another way, but there are seniors who still insist on writing checks for groceries and Walmart and Target trips. That's where you get your check out. You go ahead and sign it. You know today's date and you know what store you're in. Fill out as much of it as you can. Never, ever, ever allow the clerk to take your check from you, encrypt it in the machine, send it back to you across the table for your signature, and you give it back to them. This has your check doing this. So people standing behind you can take pictures with their cell phone, even when they don't look like they're not even looking at you. Their little earbuds in, they're young, they're talking to somebody else, but they're taking pictures that it's like not just a picture, but like rapid shot. You know how when you press the button on your phone and you didn't mean to take 60 pictures, you only meant to take one. That's what they do. They just turn the volume off so that you can't hear it. So always go to the unmentionables to get your method of payment out. This is the place where you take any targets off of you. See my beautiful engagement ring? Turn any stones around. Now, all I have is a simple band. That's when you turn all of your rings around. Gentlemen with expensive watches, great. Take it off, put it in your pocket, or pull your sleeve over it. Those little terry cloth sweatbands are great to put over watches and diamond tennis bracelets. Write that down. It's not on my notes. Come on, Mark, write it down. I see you. All right. So go to the unmentionables, turn your rings around, get your method of payment out. If you're going to write a check, you need to start writing it there. Speaking of writing checks, okay, this is where my North Carolina draw comes out when I say get you some jail pens. You can get these in any store, basically. You could even get them at the grocery store, but jail pens. See that right there? G-E-A-L, jail. That's what you want. That was funny. Mark laughed. Okay, so get you some jail pens. If you're going to write a check, you need to write it with a jail pen. It's called check washing in law enforcement. And if you've ever watched Catch Me If You Can, that guy lives in Tulsa, and I've actually visited with him. And check washing is a real deal. So Q-Tex, nail polish remover, they can float that check in there. It's pretty easy to get your check when career criminals are hiring clerks at stores to keep your check. So think about it. You go to Walmart and you write a check and they say, oh, honey, I'll fill out your check. All you have to do is sign it. So you tear out your check, you give it to her, she encrypts it, gives it back, you sign it, and you give it back. So your check's doing this. But what if you're in a store? Because in Walmart, you get your check back, right? Go like this as part of your receipt. But in other places, you don't know if they're on that system to take your money out right then and give you your check as part of your receipt. You'll not know that. So they're selling them out the back door to career criminals who are paying the clerks to do this. You won't know it until that check clears the bank if they've washed it, and banks don't check signatures anymore. So they cannot take your stuff off your check if you use a jail pen. Everybody say jail pen. Come on, Judy, you know this one. Okay, so get you a jail pen, put it in your lanyard wallet, again, inside underneath your clothing. Now, write this down. It is on my handout, but go to YouTube and watch iPhone pin hack. There is a video on there that teaches you about how they're getting so many of your personal identification numbers. So long ago, there was a company that made a camera that is heat sensitive. So, and I can remember one time my grandma in North Carolina said there was something in her attic, and they called out this exterminator, and he put this big, huge camera up in her attic and said, yep, you know, you got a critter, and he, you know, run along that wall, but his nest is definitely right over here, because they could see the heat that it was. So now a company by the name of FLIR, I'm sure you computer people know about that, has come out with a heat sensitive camera that literally fits on the back of an Apple phone. So when you go up, always, 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 always pull your shopping cart. Don't ever push your shopping cart. Always get a shopping cart, load it from the front. Again, you know, go buy the unmentionables to turn your rings around, get your method of payment out, but never push your shopping cart through. This adds distance between you at the point of pay and the person behind you. This will help so that they can't take pictures of your credit card you're using. Always run your credit card as a debit card. And if you want to get cash back, I always say, just go by the bank, just run through the ATM and get your cash out and drive off. But if you want to get cash back from a purchase, you're going to have to depress your PIN number to get it off of your debit card. So that's where 2 minutes after you walk away, they can get a picture with that new device. And I can go to Oklahoma City right now to the Apple store in Penn Square Mall, pay $200, buy that tiny camera that goes on the back of my Apple phone, and I can pick up the heat signature is what it's called, and see who the person next to me, what their PIN number was. So what's happening is they are taking pictures, getting those PIN numbers. They're watching where you put your debit card that you used, following you home. And before you can get loaded in an ambulance, they've gone to your bank. They have your card, they have your PIN number, and they can, if you don't have certain, precautions set up with the bank, they can move your money from savings to checking and take out, if you don't have any limits, everything that you have. So do not touch those keys to add your PIN. Run your debit card as a credit card. If you want cash, run through your bank. If you do have to press them and you want cash back, use your jail PIN. Use your card key, use your thumbnail, use the stylus that's there to hit those numbers, okay? Now, go watch that video. Again, iPhone pin hack. It is on my handout and it is on YouTube. Then that technology that can get your PIN number from the heat sensitive camera where you've depressed your PIN also works on door openers. So be very careful about your garage door opener outside. I have a Genie garage door opener. I flip the little, cover, I enter a code and my garage door goes up. Got to be very careful with those because you want to either take your 3 fingers and worm all of the digits that you press, worm all of the numbers. So if you're in line at the grocery store, you pay with your debit card and you want to get some cash back and you forget and touch the buttons because we're in the habit of doing that. Use your 3 fingers, touch all of the numbers before you walk away. This will destroy the heat sensitive signature. I know that I talked to a group of people that own some very, very expensive senior adult living centers. They had a national meeting in Oklahoma City and they were not real happy with me when I said these right here, the doors that they have on a lot of these senior centers, I know that you have that set. So if you had a disgruntled employee, you could just change the code, but they can still get in and this is how they're doing it. So they were not real happy with me. But that's the truth. Those can be used on anything. Now listen, that has a plastic keypad. I know my bank does not have plastic keypads at my ATM. So those I do push the buttons to get cash back at my ATM. So metal keys, this technology will not work. In closing, pull your shopping cart, provide several feet of space between you and anyone wanting your financial information. Remember, they can video or take pictures of you without you really knowing it. Ready your bait keys and your bait money before you leave any building to walk out into a parking lot. And remember that when you're walking out, doctor's office doesn't matter, and the cars are here, and you have your handbag or valuables on this side, they can just roll down the window and drag you along. So put your valuables on this side or change, walk. So this is my gun hand, and I never have a purse over here. I never have anything in this hand. I mean, I will overlook. That's why my hip's so bad. My hip will be 74 next week, by the way. That was funny. You didn't even laugh, Mark. There, he's laughing. Okay, cool. That wasn't even a courtesy laugh, Mark. All right. So yeah, either switch or, change, walk to the other side so that someone doesn't roll the window down, grab your handbag and drag you. And it's happened. So always have your cell phone on you. Always have it on. I get so, this is one of my worst pet peeves. I'm sorry, but seniors who have a phone and leave it in the car, they used to call it a car phone. Seniors who have a phone and they don't turn it on until they're ready to make a phone call. This is dangerous. People don't do this. You need to have your cell phone on so that in a 911 emergency, when seconds count, your phone doesn't have to do the whole process to find a tower, check all of the stuff inside of it before it tells you it's okay to dial 911. So have your cell phone ready. And remember, if you're approached, here's the deal. Don't let anyone get close to you. If someone's, watch, and you'll learn now that if you do these exercises, it's a lot easier when you've been doing this all evening. After a couple of weeks, you're going to get a lot more range of motion. You're going to be able to see directly behind you, and you'll start walking like this. They don't want to approach you if you know what's going on. People always ask me, should I look them in the eyes? Absolutely. Look them in the eyes. Don't let them get close. Hey, stop. Don't come any closer. Stop. What do you want? I'm buying what you're selling. I got 911 on the phone. Yeah, I'm in the Walmart parking lot, 23rd Meridian. Get here quick. Guy's got a green, and start saying it. I'm looking at a green sweatshirt. I'm looking at jeans. He's got black cowboy boots on. He's got a red ball cap. He's, his tattoos aren't spelled correctly. Whatever. Things that stay, like eye color, hair color. All right. Another thing that I want to mention, a couple of things, is dry erase markers. Dry erase markers are wonderful, wonderful crime prevention tools. Don't go shopping without a dry erase marker in my car, and here's why. If I see a car hit a kid and drive off, I can take a tag number, write it right on my window with my dry erase marker, wipes right off with the Kleenex. So if you're looking at someone and you think, man, something don't look right, and then you see him do something to somebody that's, either a crime or suspicious of a crime, just start jotting down their description about how tall are they, what kind of clothes, which direction to travel. You can do tag numbers, you can do locations. If you're driving along and something happens at mile marker 449, write that down. Because when you call in, they're going to ask you, then you can wipe it off with a Kleenex. So don't ruin your shopping trip. I like to call it retail therapy for seniors. With someone, with you not being able to have a marker. One of the other things is get a baby diaper and put it in your car. We are seeing more and more and more tent cities across our United States. There are more people living on sidewalks, more homeless people. And they will break your window for the $2.18 of coin that you right now, all of you have in your cup holder. Right, Mark? Right, Judy? Uh-huh. So take that out, put it in a Velcro. Baby diapers are Velcro now. Who knew? I mean, my baby will be 23. So they were, that sticky tape that you could never tape back. So Velcro baby diapers, buy a pack of them, even the preemie size. Share them with your friends, put your coin in that. Nobody's going to break your window for a loaded baby diaper. All right. So one of the other things that I wanted to talk about in closing is our Triad refrigerator card. This is printed on yellow cardstock. Judy's shaking her head yes. This will save your life. If you don't have these in your community, get a hold of your chief of police or your sheriff, share my information. I will send this to them where they can take my logos off and put their information on it. You need one per household member, and it lists your medications. So if you have a stroke and you can't communicate what current medications you're on, they won't give you the blood clotting medication that you need to stop that brain bleed until they know what you're currently taking. So that goes on your refrigerator door. But what if you're out shopping and you feel weird? You go to the bathroom and you wake up and paramedics are there. This does the same thing, but it trifolds. Isn't that beautiful? And fits very nicely in your wallet. I was in Florida in July. We stayed all day long at the beach, had so much fun, drank water all day, but guess what? I got heat exhaustion and I ended up at the local emergency room. And these paramedics in Florida found this in my wallet and they were like, where did you get this? We need these. So have your local law enforcement contact me, just a simple email. I will send this to them in a format that they can change up and get to you. All right. So I think we're at the closing. I hope I didn't leave anything out. Please forgive me. I had a PowerPoint and didn't really know how to implement it. I should have got my 5th grader to show me how, right? Right. Judy laughed. Okay. So my last PowerPoint was this picture. And I wanted to close by saying my youngest daughter saw me getting ready for work one day and she said, Mommy, are you going to go talk to the seniors about how to stay safe? And I said, absolutely. And she goes, oh, Mommy, you have to tell them the safest thing I know. And I said, what? And I trust you with this good tip. And I end with this. Never, ever, ever fry bacon with your shirt off. Thank you so much for allowing me to come into your homes and your lives. And hopefully you've learned something. I am open to comments. And then there's my, well, you can't really see it, my contact information. So if anyone wants to screenshot this, that's how you get a hold of me. It's also on my handout that I gave to Judy. So fire at will with the questions.
This was the 3rd time I have seen this. It is even more fantastic than the other 2 times. I learned so much more, and I cannot tell you, and I have an email, but how much of your information that I have shared with anybody who will listen. And I have adopted so many of your things after the first presentation you gave to Bill's group. But I have a home, front door that you key in. I took that, and every time I come in, I do like this. And of course the bolt flips out again, but it is worth it to erase everything like that because my front door is, maybe 30 feet, 40 feet from the sidewalk. I'm
Right.
closer.
Wow.
And I love the sweatband thing. I took down that note. And you did say your iPhone video link was in your handout?
Yes.
Correct. Okay. But I got a comment here. This is the best presentation APCUG has ever given. Can I call them or not? And here's another one. Best webinar ever. But anybody who has ever attended, where can I get this? A conference at Las Vegas via APCUG. We all have these.
I bought some of those when I was at Oklahoma County with our Triad logo on them. And those are the best because the biggest cell phone that they make will fit in the back of that.
Yeah.
When you flip it over, it has a place for your jail pin, right?
Oh, of course it does. And I, of course, am telling everybody about gel pens. And if they're not using it, I get on their case. But anyway, John, do you want to open up and see if anybody has any questions? But that
Hi,
is so
John.
thorough. And everybody should do everything that she talks about because you just should. It all just makes sense.
Well, I've stolen the best information from so many good police officers from one end of the coast to the other. Sorry, John, I think, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm sure glad that this has been recorded because we're going to all watch it again when we send it out. And I'm sure that a number of groups will be using this as a program off of our download from our website to
But don't forget
expand.
about me.
No, we won't. No, we'll start using you.
Okay.
It'll be a lot easier than for everybody to call you and say we want you to do a live Zoom one, because you could be every day
No.
with all
Well,
of our
and
groups.
Here's the deal. How many of your people have sliding glass doors? How many of your people that have sliding glass doors or people that you know and love have a broomstick in the track? Take it out. That's how they're getting in.
Uh-oh.
So not only do for as valuable as safe shopping is, I have how to protect your home, how to protect yourself, how to protect your vehicle. So let's maybe visit how to protect your home.
Oh, absolutely, my dear. No problem with that.
Don't forget about me.
And anyway, I learned that last time. Okay, when you did your stand up at CCOKC, and I went in there and I thought, oh shoot, I have dowels. And so what do I tell everybody? Get rid of your dowels, get PVC instead. And they go, why?
Amen.
I
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
because Kim said to.
And the reason?
Well, here's the thing. And I just love to get my rookie deputies, my SRO, school resource officers, and I go, do you know what this is? And I hold up this tool that these career criminals are getting into homes with, and I go, okay, let's say, you're the, pardon me, turd that wants to break into houses. Where are you going to go? And they go, simple, West Side. That's where all the money is. And I go, no, think about what you can fence. Fencing is having lists of buyers for certain things. Career criminals who burglarize homes for a living have a list of people that will buy electronics right off the bat. They have a list of people that will buy guns and ammunition right off the bat. They have a list of people that will buy anything, any pill. They don't care if it's a laxative, if it is in a prescription bottle. So who among our vast population has guns and ammunitions, jewelry, okay? A 90-year-old woman has a whole lot more years than me to pick up, to collect anniversary diamonds. And seniors are 9 times more likely to have medications and opioids in their home. So now I've convinced this young new deputy that, these people go into senior adult homes. But how they're getting in has plagued us for a long time. And I am just so thankful that I met a guy who was a former Marine. And he says, you know how every good neighborhood has that one guy who doesn't have anything else better to do than go to garage sales and buy bikes and piece together bicycles and give them to kids in the neighborhood? And I go, yeah, my first bike came from such a guy in Oklahoma City when I was a young girl. And he said, well, yeah, they brought me to this Triad training because, one of the kids came back and said that there was a guy in his neighborhood that said, look, you know where the seniors live. Let me show you how to break into these houses. Cops won't catch you. They'll never catch you because you're not going to touch anything and you're not going to take anything. They take a spoke from the bicycle and they teach them how to get in. So perhaps one day we can visit how best to protect your home. And there's some amazing products. We now have I just bought one. It's in there on my desk and all my detectives are like, look, they want to touch it, but they're not sure why I have it. But it's called, it's a fake TV. And it's just this little bitty thing, plugs into the wall. They're not very much money. And, if you point it at a window and someone drives by, they're going to swear someone's watching TV. It just casts all these wonderful lights, and it really looks like someone's watching TV at 4 o'clock in the morning. So seniors are buying these. They've got these great big houses, you know, their spouse has died, their kids have moved away. They don't ever go upstairs anymore, but they've got those pointed at the windows, and it looks like someone's home even when they're away on a cruise. There's now a wonderful alarm system that it's a barking dog alarm, and it's microwaved. So you set it by your front door, and it will, you know, track through wallboard, concrete, everything but metal. So when someone walks up to your door, when they get to, you know, several feet from your door before they can ever ring your doorbell, look inside or whatever, this dog is just like, wah, 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 and it sounds like a man-eating dog. And that has deterred some criminals. Now we've got video of that it works. So perhaps one day we could visit home, how to protect your home.
That would be absolutely outstanding. As we go on through the year, I'll send you dates. You just let me know when you're available.
Okay.
And that works for me. Does anybody have any questions of Kim? Because she's at work, and she probably has work things that she needs to do.
I would really like to field questions if we can add a little more time to this.
Yeah. Well, I'd say, you know, you kind of skipped over mine. Somebody else posted. What about those dowel rods did you say don't use?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's usually broomsticks that people have in sliding glass doors.
Right.
Now, if you're going to use a dowel rod in a window, that's good if you have a way to get out, if you have a fire. I've used them in my daughter's windows, but what they're supposed to do is take the dowel rod, bash the window, push out the screen, and get out if there's an intruder or fire, or someone's having a heart attack. You know what side of the house to meet on. But speaking specifically of sliding glass doors, take that broomstick out and put in PVC pipe or even metal pipe. It's hollow, they can't get in. The next house.
Over to Donna for your question. Donna?
Yep.
I'm sorry. That was exactly what I wanted to know is PVC pipe. So I don't put it in the window, but just in the sliding glass door.
You can put them in your window as long as you know if there's a fire, you need to pull that out to get out. Sliding glass doors, your PVC pipe or metal is best, not the wood broomstick in your sliding glass door.
Okay.
Well, this was amazing to hear all these things, because I think of all the things I'm guilty of. And you're right, Judy. I will have to go back through step one and begin all of this.
Remember, you have
it's
homework.
a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's really a whole lot. Thank you very much.
And those who would like to make comments or questions, use the chat or the reactions button. So it puts your picture or your name right at the top of our list, so we see who it is, because there's too many to see on here. So Dale, unmute and you can share.
Yeah, I just want to know if she knows about some of the programs that are on some smartphones that you can program it so that if you press the power button 3 times rapidly, you actually can send an alert message directly and also start videotaping your perpetrator.
I do not know about those. I'm writing this down so that I can, again, call 911 and start with telling them where you're at, not what's happening until later. But start.
You're on, Kurt.
Unmute.
Got to hit the right button. I just want to say I think both of the presentations today were absolutely excellent. And in the last couple of minutes, I took and sent an email off to our program chair, well, if there is one, saying we ought to be showing these at some of our general meetings. And I think other clubs might do well to do the same thing.
They are. Way back in the day with our VTCs, groups would, the presenter didn't come. They always had 2 or 3 VTCs that they had on tap that they could throw up instantly. But many groups use these presentations for their general meetings. There's 2 to a video. They just key it up if it happens to be the second presentation, and off they go. Over to Dick. Who needs to unmute himself. Okay, let's try Lori again.
Oh,
Hello.
okay, I'm unmuted now, Judy.
Okay, thanks.
I'm an active target shooter, and I keep a very good used target by my patio door.
Very good. I like it.
Go off to your local shooting range and pick one up.
There you go. Thank you.
Over to Lori.
Hello, I just wanted to know what the name of that TV thing was. That's a great idea.
It's called Fake TV. Go to faketv.com.
Amazing, thank you.
You're welcome. It's on my handout.
Any other Kim questions?
Yep, you gotta come back, gotta come back. We
And
still
I
haven't
still-
said.
And I still keep getting, she's got to come back, so.
We can't leave because we're all asking what's wrong with the wooden handle instead of the metal or PCV pipe? What's wrong with the wooden broomstick?
Well, the tool that they're using to get in, they poke through the rain gasket and they put it right up next to that wood and they turn it and it will drill itself into that wood. Then they use it to pop that wood out.
Okay,
Even if you have other things that you think work, they can still get in.
Mhm.
Carry a couple of other things we'll talk about later, but trust me, take the broomstick out and put in PVC or metal pipe.
okay, good one. Comment was made about the handouts, and remember, we only send out the follow-ups and handouts to those people who have signed in correctly to the workshop. If we can match up this name with an email address and the registration, you get it. If we have to try to figure out who in the world are you because Zoom name doesn't match the registered name, you're not going to get it. So one last chance to make sure that what we see on the list here is the right name for you, and you will get it. Now, today, not tomorrow, give Judy a break. We've got some work to do because there's a lot of questions I think that Mark still has to answer. Anybody else? Boy, brain going woo-wee.
I will be sending out Kim's handout today, since you're all so excited about it.
Okay, I'll let her do that, but don't ask her about the video.
Any
Kim,
other?
I'll say anything else from Kim or from Mark?
Well, we have time for some more Mark questions if people are hanging around. Kim, I thank you so very much for doing this. I really
Excellent.
appreciate it. If you would send me your PowerPoint presentation, I can include that as a backup in one of the handouts.
Okay, I'll figure it out. I'll get my 5th grader to show me how.
She will know. All she needs to do is you bring it up and save it, and she'll attach it to an email to me.
May
And
I
she'll know
interrupt, Joe?
exactly how to do that.
I have a question for Kim.
Yes.
Yeah, I need to know what the AAA cardia is.
It's called a
do you spell that?
carabiner.
How do you spell that?
C-A-R-A-B, like boy, I-N-E-R, and AAA has the best one.
Carabiner.
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 Okay.
Bernice, I'll send you the information, Bernice.
Oh, okay.
And it's in my handout as well as the PowerPoint.
Also, I need a list of everything I should carry.
It's on my
also.
handout.
Okay.
Trust us, it's in her handout. You'll love it.
It's in my handout. I give you my word.
You were very good.
Can I end with?
I really liked it.
Back over to Kurt, who has a question.
I don't have a question, I have a comment. It's been a long time since I was a fifth grader, but if Kim would like some instruction on screen sharing in Zoom, just give me a holler.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kurt.
I was wondering about that too. So get in touch with me too, since we've been in such communication now.
Just remember, I can clean your shotgun and put it back together, but I don't know how to do this, Kurt.
Gee, I can do that too. But anyway, no more questions for Kim and she can get back to work.
Can I end with a joke, please?
Please. Yes,
Absolutely.
do.
Okay, so the funny stuff is the true stuff. So I'm walking into a senior center and I'm getting ready to do a SALT council meeting, and I look over and these guys are playing dominoes, and this one guy he's not playing very well, and one of his friends says, "Wait a minute, is that a wedding ring?" And he goes, "Yeah, I married her." And he goes, "The same gal you were dating, like you started dating her like 2 weeks ago?" And he goes, "Yeah, I married her." And one of his buddies goes, "Well, she must be a looker. She pretty woman." He goes, "Yeah, she's okay." The other guy goes, "Well, man, I bet she's got a bunch of money in a bass boat, huh?" And he goes, "No, she kind of came with, her own set of, bills." And so the next guy goes, "Well, so I bet she's a good cook, huh?" And he goes, "No, we pretty much eat out all the time." And so finally, this woman walks up to him and she goes, "Why did you marry her?" And he goes, "She drives at night."
Oh, how true. How true.
She drives a what?
She
At
drives
night.
at night.
She drives okay.
Maybe you guys aren't there yet. There are many seniors.
Take care of your eyes, ladies.
Yeah, that don't drive at night, especially since they've been using Zoom to communicate with everybody, and I'm not driving at night anymore. Again, kiddo, thank you so much. This is absolutely fantastic. We love
Thank you. This was my honor.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
So click on yours and end your meeting on your side, lower right-hand corner.
Okay.
Help, help.
I'm trying.
You can't scooch her out, can you, John?
I'm trying to see
Any of your hosts or co-hosts can do it.
removed.
She's gone.
Yep, she's gone.
And do not report.
Yeah, she let me know that she had her presentation on a flash drive. And so I thought, oh, okay, John, do we have enough time for a few more Mark questions?
I would think so, if he's willing to stick around for a few more.
Of course.
So you cannot email someone a file encrypted with Vericrypt because it is not in your container. So they cannot open it even if they know the password. Is that correct?
Well, you can, but what you would want to do in that case is create a Vericrypt container that's exactly or close to the correct size to hold that one file. And that's just inconvenient to try to guess how much space you're going to need. So it's much better to use one of the other tools like 7-zip or Aes Crypt, where you don't have to worry about the size. It will make it the correct size to hold that file.
Can keyloggers discover your passwords?
Yes. So there's a couple of ways around that if you're really concerned about that. One of them, I briefly mentioned the idea of using a key file, and that's one of the reasons that's there, is because if you use a key file for encryption, then you're not actually typing, you may be typing a password. You can use key files and passwords together, but you're doing something that doesn't depend exclusively on you typing a password.
Okay, share with us what you're using to store your passwords. You mentioned LastPass, but is that the program you use?
So I use LastPass at work and I like it a lot. And that's actually our standard at work. I found one that I use for personal stuff called Safe in Cloud, and the Windows version is free. I think you have to pay $3 for the Android version, which I did long ago, and I actually like it a lot.
Outstanding. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. If you search on it, you'll find it. Safe in Cloud.
What about sending the password in a text message program? Are there any safe text message apps?
Yeah, so as long as you send it some way other than email, it's probably safe. There's nothing safer than just telling them over the phone. But if you can't do that, or if that's not convenient, a text message is fine, as long as you're not sending it the same way you're sending the file.
Should you encrypt your tax return on your computer?
Well, I can tell you that I don't. If I were going to put it on my laptop, I certainly would.
Okay. Can I clone using Acronis or Macrium Relief a Vericrypt hard drive onto another hard drive?
Yes, you absolutely can. So, and I've done that very thing where I've copied Veracrypt hard drives or Veracrypt containers from one computer to another. As long as you copy the whole thing, then the password will work.
Okay. The other ones I have here are comments and a couple that are really long and lengthy that I will save and send those to you.
Okay.
And so boy, did we learn a whole bunch out of both of these presentations together today. Absolutely outstanding, Mark. And I will send Kim a wonderful thank you note for being here. And like I said, I will send you her handouts so you have them fresh in her mind when she comes back another time. Hopefully we would have people that say, yes, I did your homework. And now I have my throwaway keys, my bait money, and I am using a wallet, you know, and but I see all these ladies all the time with the cross bag, and I immediately think, I use a backpack, but it is only on one shoulder. So somebody could slip that easily off and I'd still be standing. But over to you, John.
Wow. I appreciate everybody who was willing to start an hour late for Kim, since she is still on duty. This was great. I foresee that I have two programs for my club's future meetings with the recordings for both Mark and for Kim, if they weren't able to do it live. We will send that stuff to you. If you have any ideas for other topics or other workshops, please send them to Judy. If you are willing, we don't know how we can get across that you just need to be able to share something that you know that we would be interested in knowing. Maybe there's a few other people here that aren't like me, who aren't experts, but we still do presentations. Let us know. We've got some openings. We've got one more workshop in September next week, and we've got 2 scheduled for October with room for 2 more. So please share with us. Judy?
And I attended Kim's presentation at the Computer Club of Oklahoma City. I thought, gee, this really sounds interesting. So that's where I found her at somebody else's meeting. And then she was a presenter at their first hybrid meeting. And I thought, perfect lead in to, even though it doesn't have anything to do with our safety on our computers, but us, National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which is in October, Mark sent me a list when I said, do you have anything else you do? And he sent me a whole laundry list. And I thought, encryption, hey, good to go with Kim's, good to go as a lead in again to October's theme. And I do hope that at your meeting, you are featuring some kind of security presentation in October, whether you have already booked Bob G's by sending me an email, or you have one of your own. It's a good way to get publicity because you can bring in that. And I will be sending out some links for stuff that you can share with your members next month. Take us away, kid.
Okay, thanks again for everybody coming. Thank you to Bill James for assisting with me and Judy for being our question lady. And again, to both Mark and to Kim for their time. We'll see everybody at our next workshop. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Save your chats.
I'll save it again.